Good morning. I hope you can hear me this time. Our question is about the arms gate and the media's connection in that particular probe. How do you feel as a media practitioner?
Well, I think there is a lot of effort to rake up scandals, even if you're trying to probe what happened with funds meant for particular purposes. People are talking of media corruption, but I think what it was compensation. There's a difference between corruption and compensation. The issues have been clearly stated, and those who were aware knew that at certain points, the military destroyed property belonging to newspapers, either their vehicles or disrupted their operations. So that money, it was said, was meant as compensation for those newspapers whose businesses were disrupted. And people might be asking why is the office of the security advisor that had to make the payment. But each government operates how it finds convenient, and such an office can be used for so many purposes.
But what happens
so
when
the government felt like instead of going to court, which was what the newspaper owners wanted to do, to pay them compensation, I don't see anything wrong with that. And that purpose was clearly stated. So what we will have to find out is, was that what the money was spent for? And I think that closes the case. But the larger issue of what happened with security funds has also to be handled in similar manner. People have to put perspective to these issues instead of just raking off scandals and.
Let me come in here very quickly because we have two angles here to this matter. First is what Mr. Omashaya has pointed out, talking about those whose distribution were disrupted on that day. They couldn't distribute their publication for the day. And when we talk about compensation, don't forget also, for instance, the This Day bomb blast. We had some people who survived, some of those survivors, and some of those who died. And if you're following the report now, they all say they never got such monies from the alleged compensation from the federal government.
Now, that's not even, that's a different way of looking at it too. The provision of these 120 million, what specifically was it meant for? It's necessary to have that detail. Then it will be known who was included for the compensation but did not get a compensation. Because I also find it a bit curious because this case is in court, and I thought some of these things are matters that should be laid there in court. Not piecemeal activities of what resulted in this situation being released in a way that makes it not look like it's some scandal instead of a matter that we want to be resolved till it is conclusively done so. So if anyone was entitled to a compensation within this fund and didn't get, then that proof has to be provided.
Mr. Isiguzo, should it have been the NSA that is disbursing these funds to those that needed to be compensated?
The office of the NSA does so many things. You can even disperse a fund for agriculture. You can disperse a fund for water. Anything that a government at a particular time thinks works for its security, it could be done from that office. You can send people on pilgrimage. You can hold peace for conflict resolution conferences. So many things. And every government so decides how it does it. Even those prosecuting this will not tell you they are not aware of that. It's a very big office, and it does so many things. And that is what security is about. But now, since we are throwing it open, what people might be looking at is the propriety of the things done. But most of that, we'll find out at the end of the day, we reside in the realm of opinion and judgment and subjectivity. Because you could say, I shouldn't have spent this much for a certain thing, but another person says it can, and we justify it.
Yeah, Mr. Omashaya agrees that, the media houses that lost some money owing to the conduct of the military, holding their vehicles and not letting the papers circulate, they ought to be compensated. But he disagrees with how the compensation has been done. He says the process should be a little more transparent. Do you have any issue with that, the way the disbursement has been done?
I don't even know how it has been done, beyond saying if people had claims they were made, court, and this was supposed to be some form of out-of-court settlement. That's the thing. It was short because government itself faced a lot of embarrassment if it went to court with the media over this issue.
So you don't know how the process has been done, but...
Please, let me finish.
Yeah.
If this had been maybe some entertainer who the military maybe spoiled his car and the Office of the National Security Advisor is paying compensation, will that be corruption in the entertainment industry?
I'm simply asking about the issue of transparency. You say you don't know how the process has been done. Don't you think you should know?
No, the transfers went to who and how?
Because the question here is the transfer to the media organizations who've collected such monies, and how did they arrive at that amount? Because it is illogical if they all got the same amount, knowing full well that they are not out on the same quantity, number of distribution for that day. So how did they even arrive at that amount of money given to each media house? And don't forget that some other media owners are saying they didn't partake in this, and their own newspapers were also confiscated on the day.
Well, when things like this happen, there could be disputes over so many things. When lists are being compiled, it's just not with this. Even when markets get burnt and so on, we found compensations paid, and some people who lost property were excluded. So what we are looking at are issues of details of what was done. Not that it was corruption, as some people are trying to say, oh, the media was compromised over this or it's corruption. Issues of disbursements could be queried. Issues of compilation of the list could be queried, but it does not still detract from the fact that this was meant to be compensation for people who lost their property because their businesses were disrupted by the military.
Ikeddy Isiguzo, former chairman at Board, Vanguard Newspapers, editor-in-chief of Momentum Africa. Many thanks for speaking with us on this matter.